Now, when you and I spoke last week, you asked the question, how did this happen? And the need to understand how all of this came about and happened.
Well, I think it came about because I think it was 1876, they decided to make an Indian Act. An Indian Act, it was made up of over 96 sections that controls every move of a First Nation member, their land, their resources, their children, estates, when people die, how are you going to do this? And we're probably the only race in the world that has an act that controls us and what we can do. That's what I said. We've been in a fight for 30 years over land that we purchased 30 years ago so that we could use it adjacent to this reserve. And we're still fighting that they won't let us use it because the government halfway through that modern day treaty changed it and said that now you got to pay tax on that land. The agreement actually said that you were tax free for 25 years. You never had to pay tax on land to make your community bigger so that we can look after our people. And that's what I said. It's difficult when the government speaks out of one side of the mouth to the other side. And then we're stuck in an area here right now. We can't build houses because we're in a swamp and we've run out of land. That's just one First Nation. You got 640 First Nations across Canada that are struggling in the same, unless we have an oil well here or a major tourism area or something like that. This is Manitoulin Island. It's a small tourism area, but there's not the resources here to fully run your bands the way you want to run them. There's land claims out there that have been in the government for years and generations, since 1850, one of them. Yet we're still in court, spent $17 million already fighting cases that at the end may not result in an income back to the First Nation. So we're fighting with the government all the time. This Truth and Reconciliation, it was put in place by the Liberal government, but how many of those things have been accomplished? And now that you get to a certain stage with those, then you go back again, and now you're reliving another issue with the residential school and these kids that have been gone missing, and probably it could be a murder scene, and that's what people are thinking that it's a murder scene. Because you never took the body back to who it belonged to. These are children. These are God's gifts that you give people as children. They're the most precious thing that people have in their lives as children and grandchildren. But you've taken that away from a lot of people. If you figured out how many people actually died and how many people could be a bonus to society of how we're living and how they function, those people went into a depression when they took their kids, snatched their kids. I've seen pictures of some of those things. Good little Indians sitting in front of the churches with their hairs cut. They're all little robots, I call them. But were they happy? They all got sad faces in a lot of those pictures that you've been seeing lately on the news about residential school. How happy were they? And when they lived that if they had to try to run away, they'd get murdered if they ran away from the residential school. That's not something that you would see in Canada. It is a disgrace, but we can't judge other people. We can't judge other colors because of what happened in that way. We can't say, okay, we're going to hate everybody in the world. That's not what this is about. This is about fixing the problem, looking at your own Christianity and traditional practices of how you're going to heal with this issue. And that it's getting bigger every day because more kids are being found in these residential schools.